Wait seconds. All right, good morning. I see some people are joining us in the chat. I would like to introduce you Matt Caraher. He's a physical therapist at the University of Miami ALS Center. Matt, go ahead.
All right, good morning, everyone. As Camilla said, my name is Matt Caraher. I'm the physical therapist with the University of Miami's ALS Center. I also work in our outpatient clinics treating patients full-time. And this morning, what I really wanted to share with you guys are some tips and tricks in order to maintain an active lifestyle if you are living with ALS or if you have a family member that is living with ALS. And if you give me just a moment, I'm going to share my presentation with you. Let's see, there we go. And here we go. So what I really want to talk to you guys about is how we can safely exercise when you are living with a condition like ALS or really any motor neuron condition. The research from 10, 15, 20 years ago, so not that long ago, used to tell us that we really shouldn't be exercising. We need to rest. We need to preserve our strength. We need to make sure that we're not doing any damage. And what we found is that over time that wasn't necessarily true. And it's not necessarily about going the opposite side of things. It's not saying do nothing, and it's not saying go out there and try and do all of these crazy things and you need to be exercising every day. It's about exercising smarter. And that's what I want everybody to be able to take away is, what is the exercise style that works well for you? What are some general parameters to consider? Where can you be exercising? Ways that you can kind of conserve your energy and still make sure that you're able to do all the things that you would like to do throughout the day. How we do proper stretching pre and post exercise, and just ways we can overall manage our symptoms with both exercise as well as kind of over-the-counter tips and tricks to assist with that. So, when starting any exercise program, if you are considering this whole idea of sets and reps, you go to the gym, you see people lifting weights, they're taking little breaks in between. That's called a set. You do so many repetitions within a set. Excuse me. In general, exercise science tells us that we should be doing 3 sets to 4 sets of exercise in order to be trying to maintain our strength and in some cases even build a little bit of strength, to build a little bit of reserve. Anything less than that, 1 set, 2 sets, not really going to do anything for you. So if you're going to be doing any sort of strength training, whether that is body weight exercise, just like standing up and sitting down from a chair, or whether that is some sort of like a weight exercise program, for example, doing a leg press or using weights for your arms, again, 3 to 4 sets. You want to try and maintain your strength with this type of a condition. If you build a little bit of strength, that's great. That means you're probably building strength in muscle fibers and in neuromuscular junctional areas that aren't necessarily affected by the condition. So that's excellent because that's helping you build a reserve. Although it's not necessarily the most common thing with these types of conditions. When considering the number of reps you should do, you should always be doing anywhere between 6 and 12. Now that sounds like a huge range, and it kind of is. But the reason why we say that 6 to 12 range is because we know that under that, you're probably not going to get any benefit. And over that, once you hit that 12th rep, you're really not going to get any additional benefit. So you hear all these things and you'll see all these things on social media and on the internet about, oh, you've got to do 5 sets of 30. That's not true. The evidence actually shows us that once you hit that kind of 3rd set of 12, or in some cases that 4th set of 12, there's no additional benefit. I'm all about, again, working smarter, not harder. So why do the extra when you know you've hit your maximal benefit within that first kind of bit? If an exercise feels easy, the first thing you should do is if you're starting out on that lower end of reps, so let's say you're starting with that 6 to 8 range, the first thing you should do is you should increase the number of reps. Okay, I'm doing 8, now I'm going to work my way up to that 12. Once that 12 feels fairly easy, then yes, you can consider adding resistance. Now, here is a point I want everyone to really be aware of in terms of resistance. If you are enrolled in any ALS multidisciplinary center, chances are the physician, the nurse practitioner, the physical therapist, the occupational therapist is tracking your strength. One of the things that we do know in the evidence is that if a muscle group is considered to be a 3 out of 5 or less, our strength testing is always out of 5. 0 means the muscle does not turn on at all, and 5 is what we consider to be average normal strength. If you are rated at a 3 or less in any muscle group, that muscle group in particular, you really shouldn't be adding any resistance to. And you can talk about this with your care providers, and they would be more than happy to explain this to you on individual bases. But I'm going to use for an example, just because of the camera setup we have here, my bicep. If I were to say my bicep has 3 out of 5 strength, that means that I can still exercise this muscle, but I shouldn't be putting any weights in my hands and doing curls. If anything, I should have nothing in my hand and just be curling with my own body weight, with my own weight of my arm. That is acceptable to do. Once you start adding in weight, it is possible that you begin to overstress that muscle, and that we don't want to happen, because if you're continually overstressing your muscle, what can happen is there might be prolonged effects of that. You might have prolonged soreness, you might have a little bit of early onset weakness, so it might kind of progress that muscle's weakness a little bit more, and it might even become painful. So again, these are conversations you want to have with your care providers, making sure that you know where your strength is at. Because if one muscle group is a 3, but let's just say my tricep is a 4, well, I can take a weight and I can do a tricep extension. That's fine. That muscle group is in a category that it is still safe to do light resistance with. Again, when you're exercising, if a movement is already difficult, don't add resistance, don't add weight. Instead, work on proper form. I always say to my patients, I would rather you do 6 repetitions with perfect form than 12 repetitions that look just okay. Practice makes perfect, and perfect practice is even better. Always listen to your body when you're exercising. Stop at the point of fatigue. So for example, again, if you're doing an exercise like standing up and sitting down, if you notice around maybe the 7th repetition, I feel a little bit more wobbly, my legs are starting to get that little bit of a burning sensation, that's when you should stop. That is your body saying to you, okay, I'm starting to experience fatigue. It is the individuals that continually push past that point, push into their fatigue, try and work past it. Those are the individuals that we do find actually end up having a little bit more of a rapid progression in their disease. We need to stop and listen to our bodies, take a little bit of rest. That doesn't mean go lay down, take a 20-minute nap, you got a little bit of fatigue. No, sit down, take maybe 2 minutes, see how your legs feel. If they feel recovered, get right back up and do it again. If they're still a little tired after about 2 minutes, give it a little bit longer. If that means moving to another exercise, instead of doing sit to stands, now you're going to go on to maybe a shoulder exercise, and then come back to that sit to stand later. You can organize your program any way you want. The biggest thing is that when you feel the point of fatigue in your muscles, in your breathing, wherever you're kind of working, honor that. Take a little break. It will go away as long as you do that. And then you're going to be able to move on, and you're going to be able to do more because of that. Exercise anywhere. The first thing I ask my patients when they come to see me in the outpatient clinic is, where do you like to go? Where do you like to move? What do you like to do? If the individual really likes the pool, we're going to figure out a way to get them in the pool and get them moving in the pool. If you're somebody that just loves going to the beach, let's talk about it and figure out a way that we can do a nice little beach workout. If you were somebody that was very accustomed to the gym environment before, you can still go to the gym. I have plenty of patients with this type of diagnosis that are still going to gym and doing modified workouts. Outdoor fitness centers are obviously a great place to work out. And if you're somebody that needs a buddy, you've got physical therapists, you've got exercise physiologists, personal trainers. There are a lot of individuals out there that are looking to help you and that would be able to help you design a program that works best for you. The other thing to consider too is group exercise in small groups and classes. Obviously right now that's not necessarily the most possible thing, but fingers crossed we're going to get out of this pandemic sometime soon. And group exercise classes are also a great way to not only build a support system, but also kind of get your endorphins going. Exercising with a group can really be a positive experience. One of the things to consider, and we've kind of started talking about this already, is this idea of the work to rest ratio. It's very important that when you have a motor neuron condition, that you are doing principles of energy conservation. So when you are exercising, you should always consider a scale of 0 to 10. 0 is, this exercise is incredibly easy. 10 is, I think that this is impossible to do. So for example, for me, sitting right here, this is a 0. If you were to ask me though to stand on my hands, I would say that's a 10. I cannot do that. So that's kind of what I use as my own kind of scale. For you, it could be something totally different. It's going to be based off of how you feel functionally. When you are exercising, you want to be within that 4 to 6 range. If you're in that 0 to 3 range, you're not actually pushing yourself hard enough. And yes, you should push yourself a little bit. But if you're in that 7 to 10 range, you're pushing yourself too much. And we don't want to see that either. Again, with a condition like this, you really want to make sure that you are walking a fine line. You want to make sure that you are in that moderate intensity range, because that is what has shown to allow our muscles to get the adequate exercise that they need without over fatiguing them and risking the possibility of, again, progressing the weakness in that area. When I talk about a work to rest ratio, that means for however long I'm working, that's how long I should be resting. What is the ratio there? Now, you'll hear some people say, oh, I did, 10 sit to stands. That took me 30 seconds. I rest 10 seconds and then I go right back into it again. You will see this all the time at the gym. You'll see this all the time when people are exercising, that they'll do their exercise, they'll look at their watch, probably 15 seconds goes by and they're right back at it again. Now, in some cases, that's okay. But when you have a motor neuron condition, it is actually discouraged. What you should be doing instead is timing how long it takes you to do the exercise and then resting at least that long. If you're doing, again, we'll use sit to stands as my option. Let's say you're doing 8 sit to stands, and 8 sit to stands takes you 20 seconds to do. Before you start a second set of sit to stands, you should rest 20 seconds. Now, if 20 seconds does not feel like enough rest, you do your 8 sit to stands, you rest 20 seconds, and you think to yourself, yeah, I don't think I could do another 8 right now. You should rest longer. First thing you should do is double the time. Exercise 20 seconds, rest 40 seconds, and then increase it from there. Exercise 20 seconds, rest 1 minute. Exercise 20 seconds, rest a minute and a half. Whatever you need to do, whatever that ratio is going to be, so that you are able to complete those repetitions with perfect form. Now, this is where your workouts start to get longer because we're building in all of this rest time. You can kind of cut down that time again by moving on to something else. So for example, if I'm doing sit to stands as my exercise and I'm not using my arms, when I'm resting my legs, I could be doing an arm exercise. That way I'm kind of able to be more time efficient, but still honoring the work to rest ratio. When planning out an exercise routine, you should always plan for a rest period following. The general recommendation is that you plan to have about 2 hours worth of nothing time. And that doesn't mean nothing in terms of like you need to go lay down, you need to not do anything, you really, really need to rest. Just general nothing. You're going to read a book, you're going to be kind of putzing around the house, nothing that's going to be taxing. You don't want to do a workout and then dive into a family get together. You don't want to do a workout and then have to go to all of your doctor's appointments. You want to make sure that you are scheduling things properly. Again, this is all about conserving your energy. The reason why you want to do this is because within the first 30 minutes after your workout, you should feel about 80% recovered. What that means is that you are feeling like you have the energy to do the workout again. I'm not saying you should go back and repeat that workout again, but you should have the energy that if you had to do that workout again, you could. Within that 2-hour period, you should feel completely, totally recovered. That means that if you had to do the workout again, you could. Again, doesn't mean you're going to, but you could. You also have to take into account how you feel that day. We all have days where we wake up and we don't feel 100%. If you wake up and let's say you feel like you're 60%, you're okay. It's not a great day, but it's not a bad day. So you decide you're going to do your exercise. 2 hours later, you should feel like you're 60% again. Doesn't mean 2 hours later you're going to feel 100%, but you should at least feel as good as you did before the workout. If you didn't, you might have overworked yourself. Overworking yourself every once in a while is not the end of the world. I do not want you to panic if that happens. But overworking yourself consistently, that does lead to problems. That does lead to complications with your condition, including perhaps increased weakness, increased soreness, muscle spasticity, spasms, cramps, all of those things that really we want you guys to avoid, and we want you to feel like you don't have to deal with. Things that you should be kind of listening to, right? You want to listen to the way that you're breathing. If you feel like you're breathing heavier after a workout, again, that should go back to breathing a little bit more relaxed, breathing a little bit more normally. Muscle fatigue. Do your muscles feel heavy? Do they feel sore? Do they feel just kind of stiff? And mental fatigue. Exercise can cause mental fatigue. You are moving your body. When you're moving your body, your brain is starting to secrete all of these different hormones, and those hormones can tire you out a little bit. So it is important to make sure that you kind of pay attention to those areas of fatigue. And again, 2 hours later, all of that should be eliminated. It is extremely important to do stretching, both before exercise, after exercise, with no exercise. Stretching is what's going to help make sure that your muscles stay nice and flexible, so that way you're able to complete your activities of daily living, participate in any care-related tasks throughout the day, as well as just make sure that you feel good. Same exact thing. You should always do stretches 3 to 4 times, 3 to 4 repetitions. In order to get a good stretch, it has to be 30 seconds, 30-second hold time. Anything less, you didn't stretch it long enough. Anything more than that, there's not necessarily an additional benefit. What the research shows us is between 30 seconds to 1 minute is where you're going to get the optimal stretch. If your muscle feels normal, I can raise my shoulder all the way up. I probably only need to hold a stretch like this for 30 seconds. But if a muscle feels extra tight, you're really just not getting that range. You want to hold it to the higher end of that timeline. You want to hold it closer to that 60-second mark. Stretching should always feel uncomfortable. It is not supposed to be a pleasant experience. You are trying to make a muscle longer, but it shouldn't be painful. It should be tolerable. I don't want to necessarily hold my arm back here, but I can. It's not really hurting too much. It's just uncomfortable. And when it's done, I should feel like that discomfort subsides very, very quickly. Again, stretching should not be painful. If it is, if you're stretching yourself, stop. If someone else is stretching you, let them know this is painful. Discomfort, okay. Pain, not okay. For those of you who are experiencing cramps, spasms, increase in your muscle spasticity or hypertonicity, there are ways for you to reduce this, so that way you'll be able to participate in your movement, be able to exercise throughout the day. A lot on the market right now, you're going to see massage guns. You can have yourself or your caregiver, your family member, whoever, do massage on those muscles using one of those devices, and it will help to relax them. These devices also oscillate at a speed that's very helpful in terms of generating vibration. So even if you don't dig into the muscle, you can do very, very light pressure, and that vibration will also help to kind of relax your muscles. Again, it should not be painful. If you are digging into your muscle and it hurts, it's probably not going to be the best move for you to do. You want it to be maybe a little uncomfortable, but that discomfort should go away as soon as you stop, and it should not be painful. Heating pads are your friend. Hot towels, hot compresses, all of that brings circulation to our muscles. When our muscles don't work as well as they used to, what we need to do is we need to provide them with as much circulation as possible, so that way they're able to kind of clear out any waste and bring in all of that good nutrition that's going to keep them functional for as long as possible. For both the heating and the massage aspects, you really want to be doing this for between 15 and 20 minutes. Anything less than that is not considered to be effective. Anything more than that, not considered to be superior. Again, all about doing the bare minimum here. So that 15 to 20 minute range is where you're going to want to work. You'll see some over-the-counter supplements such as magnesium powder, magnesium pills, tonic water with quinine. Those are all over-the-counter methods to work on muscle spasticity, to work on reducing cramps, to work on assisting in slight reduction in hypertonicity. Do not start any of these supplements, though, without consulting your physician or your nurse practitioner first, just to make sure that it's going to be the right fit for you. Finally, the last two items on here are, again, items that do vibration. Vibration was originally studied in patients after spinal cord injury. And what we found is that it helped to relax muscles. After a spinal cord injury, what can happen with some individuals is that muscles will become very tense, locked, and tight. This can happen in ALS and other motor neuron disorders as well. Vibration therapy has really kind of come into its own in the last 5 years or so, because we have such a building evidence to say that when we're doing this type of vibration, it's helping to relax your muscles. Again, it needs to be done for about 15 to 20 minutes in order for it to be effective. So it's very important that you're doing it for the right time, and again, that you're not causing yourself any pain. It should feel like it's relaxing. So you'll see vibration plates out on the market, as well as personal massagers that do the same thing. Again, needs to be 15 to 20 minutes, and you should always consult either your local physical therapist or your physician or nurse practitioner team to make sure that this is going to be the right intervention for you before starting. On the market, you're going to see so many of these products in a wide range of prices, from the very inexpensive to the over-the-top expensive. You do not need to buy the top line, most expensive products. The lower end models do the same exact thing and are actually of quite good quality. Instead, especially for those of you who are using Amazon, always look at your reviews. Look at their product reviews. If it's generally getting 4 stars and up, it's probably a good product to purchase, and especially if it's at your price point. So, the last few things that I want to talk to you about. Don't be a couch potato, but also don't try and be an Olympic athlete. You want to be right in that middle ground. You want to be doing enough at any activity level, whether you are somebody who's not able to walk at all and requires assistance for a lot of things, or you're somebody who is still quite mobile. You want to be in the middle ground for where you are. And a physical therapist such as myself, or the many that are out there, we're here to help you kind of find what that middle ground is for you. Again, when in doubt, always consult a rehab specialist. Whether it's a PT, an OT, or a speech language pathologist, chances are, depending on where your symptoms are, we're going to have some suggestions that will be helpful for you. I want you to keep moving. This is the most important piece. Movement is medicine. Whether that is somebody who is doing range of motion on you, or whether that is you going out on a long walk, it is very important that you continue to keep moving. Get your family involved, get a group together, get a support system. It is so important that you keep moving, and you will have friends to hold you accountable, family to hold you accountable, and know that you're not in this alone. There are people out there who want to support you and want to help you through all this. My last piece of advice is be kind to yourself. We all need to be kind to ourselves. Starting an exercise program when maybe you haven't exercised in years can be a challenge, can be frustrating, can seem daunting. Take it day by day. We're here for you every step of the way. If anyone has any questions, I'll take them now. Thank you for your time. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to end the broadcast now. You all have a great day.